or presents The High Cost of Loathing.
My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross. Do not get confused. We are Gary and Cole, and this episode does guest star Gary Cole, but it is not of any relation.
You may know Gary Cole as the CEO from Gremlins 2.
You may know him as Mike Brady.
You might, but you may also know him as the CEO from Gremlins 2.
Is that true? I forget. He must have been incredibly young.
I mean, he's looks good.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
at that point, he's just a guy. He does a good job.
Okay.
In it, wonderful in that movie.
Oh, of course. I mean, he's wonderful in everything.
Oh, you know what? I'm getting him confused. Or no, he looks a lot. Oh my God.
Oh,
Did
Gary,
I get this wrong?
Oh,
did I get a Grem fact wrong?
You do not fire. You don't take the shot unless you know you're going to hit. Okay.
He's in the Ballad of Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, he's the
Office Space fella.
Yeah, we're going to need you to, yeah.
No, I'm thinking of a different guy who looks just like him.
God damn it, Gary. Come on.
Who plays Clamp in Gremlins 2?
Clamp?
Damn it.
That's
Clamp.
It's a man named John Glover.
John Glover.
Yeah.
I got Glovered. They look similar to me.
Oh, okay. Huh. Yeah.
They
both have that high cheekboned, kind of gaunt, kind of feel.
Yeah.
Some
it's
of
a guy
his
I care
appearance.
way less about.
Oh.
Fuck this guy. Fuck this episode. I'm done. I thought we were going to be able to Grem out, and now
no.
I got Grem balls, Grem blue balls, and I cannot successfully come until I see a brain gremlin give me the business.
Man, I'm a big fan of Gary Cole. It's tremendous work on Veep.
Never seen Veep.
Oh, it's a good show. It's real funny.
No, I've heard it's good.
Yeah. But yeah, no.
Apropos of nothing.
Okay.
You know what I remembered yesterday?
What'd you remember yesterday?
Pelosi leading the Democrats and singing that Shana Na Goodbye song. Do you remember that? After I think it was after like Comey Barrett was confirmed. And she was like, "This will be the end of you," and they all did this "na na na goodbye" thing.
Yeah, I remember her and the Democrats kneeling with kente cloth.
Sure.
And then during
forever.
During the unrest and the people asking for justice in 2020, that was what they did about that.
Embarrassing.
Whew.
Yeah. I know that Veep isn't like that, but for some reason in my head, it's in the West Wing pile, even though I know it's funny and good.
Oh no, it is deeply cynical. It is not. It is. If there's an opposite of the West Wing, it's okay. What you mean? Where the first lady works and lives?
Yeah.
Oh man, this episode is a fucking train wreck.
That's it. This is, what else are we gonna do?
We can talk about the episode.
No, we're gonna. I'm just saying, okay. This is at this point in our partnership, you have de facto agreed to any and all Gremvasions.
Just by not
I think
protesting
that if you were going to say
before?
something about it, it's too late. There is it's grandfathered in.
I mean, if it was actually true, I was like, oh, I was willing to accept. If Gary Cole was like, I cannot consent, I cannot accede to imagined Gremvasions. Like, there needs to be a basis for Grems to be brought in.
Well, I can be mistaken about two actors, two white guys who look similar. That's fine. It has nothing to do with Grems. Don't blame the Grems for that.
No, I'm blaming you. I'm blaming you. It kind of feels like you're just looking for an excuse to talk about Grems, and it's not germane.
It kind of looks like that because it's exactly what's happening. And I admit it. Like, I am looking for an excuse to talk about Grems 24/7. I got that Grem set. I got that Grem mindset. I'm not about to give up the Grems. This episode was written by Jackson Public and originally aired August 26th, 2018. Probably around the same time the Democrats were doing that bullshit.
Some of it. And this is kind of got a split story here. We have the Monarch trying to come to grips with the fact that he has not been arching for a while. His vigilante work didn't pay. And also he sunk most of his money into renovating his parents' mansion. This is where he finds out that he's broke.
Yes. This is also, to me, the plot that's more interesting is Dean moving away to move into college during a new semester.
Yeah.
And trying to form his own identity here.
Deciding I don't want to live in my beautiful penthouse apartment. I want to go live in a sweaty dorm with a grown man.
Yeah. Who swabs an orifice. This is set 2 months later after the Morphic trilogy. The idea being to kind of set, since I was supposed to be the end of the season, the previous season, makes sense. I'm really glad this is not a season premiere. I don't think it is bombastic enough.
No.
I like all the boys stuff. It drives me fucking nuts that Dean gives the Monarch $1 million in this episode.
Yeah.
I hate it. It's weird doing the show is turning me against the Monarch, but boy, it's turning me against the Monarch.
Yeah.
He just gets whatever he wants and never has any consequences for it. Bad husband, shitty villain, horrible, not a bad person in a fun way, just not worth anybody's and just gets everything handed to him.
No. And also it's, kind of what's to stop him from doing that again if he can just extort it from Dean? Yeah. I cannot believe Dean did that. Other than that, it's real good. And the character played by non-Gremlin star Gary Cole is really nice. Oh, yeah.
I love Victor Von Helping. Such a funny name.
Von Helping. It's just I wanted it to rhyme. I wanted it to have the same first letter and also the same number of syllables. It's Von Helping.
Well, it was Hellfire is his actual last name. He just changed it to something that is better, and he went with Helping.
Yeah. Oh, I misheard it. I said rhyme because in my head it was Von Helsing, but that's already a guy kind of.
Yeah. It kind of sounds like that, but it's from Hellfire.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very cute, and all that stuff is very good.
Yeah, but he initially represents a better side of super science to Dean, but it turns out he's just still in the same world. It's Dean constantly thinking he has escaped this, but still being within the walls of the world that he hates.
It still kind of models an escape path for Dean.
Yes.
They just don't do anything with it. One of the things that is a frustrating season 7 thing for me is that I really wanted the Dean journey. Yeah. And we get kind of the beginnings of it and the very end of it. But he takes a long break in the middle.
Yeah.
This commentary, huh?
Man, the hostile energy is there. And if you think that Gary and I arguing about Gremlins 2 is rough, this is kind of hard to listen to.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
You hear them, and Doc's being pretty hostile during this.
Yeah.
It really feels hostile, and I don't want to tell tales out of school too much, right? This is just how it landed to me. But it feels kind of low-key insecure. Okay. There's this weird braggy nature that comes through for a couple of the things that he talks about. One of they spent a lot, basically the whole commentary talking about how this doesn't look good as an episode. I have no idea what the fuck they're talking about, and I wish that wasn't part of commentaries.
That is Jackson who fixates on that, and I think that when he is looking at this, it feels like he is seeing all of the work drafts that came back that he had to work very, very hard to correct.
Yeah. In part of that, when they're talking about, so they start bickering almost immediately and start bickering about which episode is the worst looking one of the season.
Yeah.
With Jackson being it's this one, and Doc being no, it's mine. But those are the kind of bullets I take because I do episodes where people just talk. Yeah. He says it in this really confrontational way.
Yeah.
And then they get into an argument about making jokes about Michael Kors, and who made the joke first. And it is, it's like that AGDQ thing where that one guy on the couch is real awkward. You can hear, so Doc is I made the joke first, but it aired second. And then there's a pause because Jackson didn't plus one or everything. He's or I made it at the same time and didn't notice.
Yeah. And then it gets down to I would have changed that if I knew that you made the joke. And it's and they also talk about like, oh, why they don't work together, why they don't write together. They're like self-deprecating jokes about like typing speed and stuff like that. But it's like they're saying like, no, I would have changed that if I saw it, but you must have seen it first, so you didn't change it. It's like, who gets to make this joke about it
too?
It's like, who gets to make this joke about Project Runway?
Who gives a shit?
Mom and Dad, stop fighting, babe.
At least fight about more interesting stuff.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah,
it's bizarre. It is kind of hard to listen to.
I made that joke first, babe.
Yeah. Hey, babe. Did you make that joke first? Hey, babe. You want to watch Gremlins too? No. Oh, that's kind of weird.
I'm making a reference to the dinner party episode of The Office.
I was making a reference to Gremlins too.
Oh, okay.
And dinner party episode. I can just stand here and watch TV for hours. It's real ridiculous. And it is a little bit hard to listen to. We also find out that the Astro base has been dismantled. We find this out because both the boys have strong opinions about designer desks.
Yep.
Which I was not expecting. Mm-hmm. But they're like, yeah, man, I wish I had the $8,000 desk. Now it's like $12,000.
It's come up before.
Made out of this wood.
It's come up before. Jackson and talked about it on the art book. Yeah.
Yeah, they love desks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I am so immune to that kind of thing because of cat ownership.
Oh, yeah.
Like, can you imagine buying a $12,000 desk and then just you're gone one day and Greta decides to put a claw on it?
Mm-hmm.
$12,000? I
feel ridiculous having spent the amount of money that I did on my desk. It's in horrible shape because I use it. I can't imagine like buying first off, buying anything rosewood because you just like, what they do to get rosewood? It's pretty
is it bloodwood?
I mean, like it's not a lot of rosewood trees left. Let's say that. Okay. That's why like rosewood, old guitars are really expensive because you're not really allowed to cut down rosewood trees anymore. Like any rosewood that exists has already been cut down. Like you can't import them, things like that. Rosewood is primarily used on guitars for fretboards, right? Stuff like that. I don't know why. I almost say I don't know why. I know about rosewood because of guitars. But
you're a guitar enthusiast.
I mean, I'm a guitar dabbler. But that's why. I don't even know what I was saying. I do not understand why people would fixate on nice furniture. I have always had, IKEA and Ashley furniture. Seems like a weird way to spend money, but oh well.
I really hate IKEA furniture, but I do love buying used furniture.
Yes.
That is just old and made of wood. Cat ownership has made, I would much rather have non-nice things that I don't care if they get a blemish than nice things that I have to spend the rest of my life worrying if, a coffee ring ends up on them. Like, no thanks.
I like
the Astro base got taken down.
Yes. Astro base was dismantled. Jackson, I think he's living in California at this point. It's a real like broken fellowship kind of thing. It feels like to a degree. Maybe that's overstating it, but they're still talking about season 8.
It's possible that our parasocial, I think there is hostility there. Like it's a genuine read. We don't know what's in these men's hearts.
Nope. Could have been a bad day when they were recording the commentary.
Yeah. They were recording in the same session they recorded the last one. You can tell. So maybe they're also exhausted.
Yes.
We start off with a cold open. It's 2 months after Arrears in Science. And we get this little fantasy sequence. We haven't had one of these in a while. Where the Monarch crew in their brand new high-tech uniforms do the beginning of MGS2. Storming a Ventec ship.
Yeah, storming a tanker. We see the new high-tech cocoon roll up. 21 has lightsaber wrist blades. The Monarch flies down in his shiny golden armor, his regular armor is gold, but there's more of it now. And the one thing that kind of stands out is the fact that the Monarch has these bushy, unkempt eyebrows and his goatee is all bushy, right?
And they break through. I love the thing they have where they shoot the plastic butterfly net and put the guy up against the wall. Like, it's really cool looking. 21 uses lightsaber Wolverine claw thing to cut open a shipping container and gets into this box marked with these little canisters that say enriched uranium.
Yeah, well, they're so it's a disguise within a disguise. He initially opens up, it's a J-Watch box. He opens it up and sees there's this canister inside marked enriched uranium.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then when he peels off a sticker.
Yes.
There. And it's a container of this handy dandy hair cream. They also, in the commentary, are very bitter about nobody buying the shirt. They had the ad for their fake hair cream.
They never advertised the shirts. Like,
I mean, but also who's a big fan of the Venture Brothers specifically for this hair cream?
It's a cool logo, but that's about it.
Yeah, they have logos for things from the show.
Uh-huh.
You know, like you can get a shirt that's just the Dean logo.
Mm-hmm.
It just says Dean. Why would you want the hair cream from like this little tiny little subplot? But he uses it. He puts his eyebrows back in order. So this is his pomade, basically.
Yeah.
Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch wakes him up from a fantasy. He's daydreaming as he's getting an inspection in the Morpho Cave from Dr. Z.
Yeah. And Dr. Z is walking around with the clipboard. They've obviously just very hastily painted over all the blue in the Morpho Cave to make it the Monarch Cave. And Dr. Z is here. He's proctoring the EMA audit, trying to determine what level he is, and Dr. Z points out the eyebrow thing, and Mars like, does that matter? Personal grooming is a factor.
You don't want to be a bungler.
Nope.
The Dr. Z is not impressed.
No.
They have a henchman army, which is just day laborers. They've dressed up. There's 7 of them. And Dr. Z points out Taylor Swift rolls with a bigger squad. The Monarch's like, well, what about my super cool high-tech floating cocoon? And Dr. Z pops a Assassin's Creed blade.
Yeah.
Like it comes out of his it's like a wrist mounted.
It's his cuff. Yeah. It's how they hide that was funny to see them just straight up pull an Assassin's Creed thing. Yeah. It just pops out the ring finger knife and pops it because it's a big inflatable.
Yep. Very pathetic.
Yeah.
And basically says you're a 5 and you should be so lucky.
Yeah.
This is me being generous.
It's a very generous 5. And of course the Monarch is outraged. To his mind, he has worked very hard. He feels like he has earned more.
Mm-hmm. We cut over to Hank taking over Dean's room. Now that Dean's moved out.
Yeah.
He has these boxes here marked dork supplies and virginity protectors.
Just Dean's old shit.
Yep. Sticking it to Dean. Starts erasing the whiteboard, but there's a section where the colored marker won't come out. So he just puts his big flat screen TV over it.
Yeah.
He's got plans for this place.
It's not a whiteboard. It's a big board, Gary.
Oh yeah. Whoops. Let's fight about it in the commentary for this episode for a season. He invites Serena, his girlfriend, over, but she's going to class.
Yeah.
Like, I have class. Sure, I know you do. No, I've really got class. This is the subplot of this season about them growing apart because Hank is this shiftless little playboy and she's going to school. Again, just the beginning and end of the season.
Yeah.
Kind of a bummer. That's a cool idea for an arc. She's cut off because Brock power slides around the quad there with Dean.
Yeah,
does some donuts.
He's an Adrian, and he saw the open yard and he decided to go for it. It called him. He's chafing under city traffic. He needs the open space to really open Adrian up. And Dean, as Brock says, is like, oh, I know what it feels like to be bottled up inside, kind of being angsty little Dean. This is a cruel joke that Brock pulls on him, like dangling the keys and saying, well, that's why I'm going to give you these.
It's very funny.
Oh, it's very funny. Brock is kind of Brock is kind of a jerk in this episode.
Yeah, it's not a great Brock episode for endearing Brock,
but it's funny, Brock.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah,
I'm always distracted by this because as they go into the dorm where Jared is naked and swabbing out his spinneret. God, is that fucking gross?
That is horrifying.
Yeah.
No.
It's real nasty. I don't have anything I have to swab out. Like after they told you not to use those on your ears.
Oh yeah.
I was like, phew, my swabbing days are done. Like I don't. I haven't been swabbed in a dog's age.
Yeah, you don't have a foreskin you have to maintain.
No, I'm shorn.
Yep.
A man should look like his father, according to my parents. So no foreskin. It's and I don't know what I'm missing. People are like, "Oh man, you haven't lived until you've had a foreskin," and I'm like, "I was a baby. I don't remember." And it works just fine. It's great. It feels good.
I'm keeping this in my back pocket in case I ever get starved for attention. I'm gonna really come out hard as an intactivist.
Yeah, just to drum up some publicity.
Yep. Just keeping that one in my back pocket. It's either that or flat Earth and the anti-Semites.
Keep it in your front pocket, flash pocket.
Oh,
yeah.
Don't gotta like swab that. It. Yeah, gotta swab it.
You gotta swab it. It's really gross. It's a really nasty image.
He's just standing there naked, and Brock and Dean walk in, and he panics. So Jared's a cheerleader, and he has the school's mascot suit. So it's the Beavers, go Beavers. And he rips the mascot's head off and holds it in front of his junk, to cover himself up because he's embarrassed. I like, Brock, you fucking that thing?
Yeah, you fucking that thing. So they're gonna be roommates.
Yeah.
There. Jared has a Rings of the Realm poster, which I like. There. He's a big nerd.
Yeah. He's got a Canadian flag. He's got a Hamilton poster, but it's Stuyvesant, the musical.
Dean is real upset. He's like, only Brock came to see me off. Helper gave him a dream catcher made out of stuff you'd find in a kitchen. Real cute. And he's like, yeah, you're the only one who came. Pop's still mad at me because I'm not taking any science classes. And Brock's like, yeah, look, something you should know. Dad signed you up for a shitload of science classes. So that's going to be Dean's little arc.
Yeah. He's got to go and undo his dad's work so he can choose his own future. Rusty, having meddled with his son, he is getting dressed down by a pirate captain who's having a meltdown about the financials. Ventec is in the red after the Gargantua 2 disaster, and they had to spend a pretty penny getting Ventec Tower seaworthy after Jonas attempted to Shanghai it.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, whatever you got down in R&D, you have to do it now. And Rusty's very smug. He's like, I have just the solution to this. There's only one thing left to do. I love this scene, actually. One thing left to do. And he leaps through the boardroom window, which happens in the Hudson for proxy. Everyone panics, so they think he's dying, but he just floats up using the hover belt.
Yep.
But he left through a big pane sheet of window. So this huge shard of glass in his thigh. He looks very self-pleased.
He's talking about yes, we have the future of personal conveyance.
But there's this big shard of glass in his leg, and he pulls it out. And they're like, don't pull it out.
Yeah. Well, it's super creepy because he's laughing, and then the cuts on his face that were not visible before open up. He starts bleeding like Lisa the nurse from Silent Hill.
Yeah, I love it. And when he pulls out the glass, he starts bleeding profusely, and then just passes out, dangling from his floating belt.
I love that so much. I love somebody levitating but being unconscious.
It's really funny. It's like drowning in midair. The Monarch and 21 are at a bank, and they're looking to borrow some money so they can make a new layer in equipment. They want to get $20 million for that and handy dandy.
Yes.
The stuff that they have, difficult to acquire on account of the ambergris. Ambergris, this digestive thing that comes from sperm whales, used in perfume.
Yep.
And stuff. And really weirdly enough, used in candy. Back in the day, a lot of perfume ingredients had crossover with candy, which is why you still get like violet and lavender candies. Adding sugar to perfume is how they used to make candy.
Yep.
Basically. Disgusting.
It's vile, is what it is. Louis the 14th, or whatever his name was. One of those French kings. I don't got to number him right. It was a Louis. His favorite dinner was ambergris and eggs. I learned that on Bob's Burgers because ambergris, it is used for perfume and all that stuff. And every once in a while, an animation director learns about ambergris and it works into a plot. It was also in Futurama.
Just whenever anybody at some point, I think I first started noticing I just read about this on Wikipedia, so I have to sneak it into my product thing through Brian K. Vaughan, the comic writer who does Saga and stuff. He used to be exceedingly bad at that.
Yeah.
Characters were constantly beginning sentences with "Did you know?"
Oh yeah. It's
in those books.
It's Pat Palahniuk's trick.
Yeah. And it's a bummer. Now that once you notice it, it can really bum you out. Like I love learning stuff, but just making characters talk to each other about it is really ham-fisted.
Yeah. There are better ways to work like a cool thing you learned into a story.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Monarch has no proof of income, and he talks about his collateral, and like, oh, you mean the house that's condemned, and he's getting sick of this. He brings up his trust fund to get this loan. The banker checks on this and finds out his trust fund has been overdrawn. He's broke.
Yep. We get the real cool Hitchcock push pull, where the camera moves in on him, but it looks like the background, moves away. It's the cinematic shorthand for somebody's soul is leaving their body.
Somebody has realized something.
Oh yeah. And he's broke. This is Mr. Burns having Smither tell him. All his yes men didn't want to tell him he lost his money in 1929.
Yeah. Yeah. So he decides to rob the bank. He sends 21 away, and he's just going to rob the place at this point. And unfortunately, the Brown Widow does his banking there.
Yes. So Jared rushes out and then comes back in as the Brown Widow. I love Dr. Miss the Monarch telling like, oh, New York's lousy with superheroes. Chances are you were going to run into one of them if you were robbing a bank.
Yeah, it just always happens. I love the off-brand Spider-Man. Welcome to my parlor, said the spider to the butterfly. Very good. And I love how they don't let him go. Like he webs up his hands and throws him out, and he goes to leave, and he gets yanked back in to get beat up some more.
Yeah. Oh man. So Dean is taking his philosophy class. He's doing another unit of that, but because Dr. Nadaba, Think Tank, is recovering from his fight with Brock, and Wariana, don't want to remove Wariana from that. They've got a sub. They have a substitute. It's Tosh Tompkins, aka Stars and Garters, the Chad bully.
Teaches American military history and coaching wrestling. Go Beavers. And he's like, this is usually my forte. So we're going to have a little visiting professor named Zack Snyder. That's so funny.
I see a bunch of Greek names in this syllabus. Fuck it. We're showing 300.
Yeah. I love it so much. And they leave. They're just, Dean is dubious of the whole thing.
Somehow I don't think the moral of Plato's Republic was kicking ass and taking names.
I also, I love Brown Widow just being like, yeah, but how long has it been since you've seen 300? Like, that's pretty much the appropriate, like, if you're in class and they decided to show you 300. Yeah. I don't particularly like that movie or anything. But I saw it when it came out. If somebody were showing it to me, I'd be like, all right.
Yeah. No, that's...
Okay.
It is, satisfactory to me in a way that shiny moving objects are.
Yeah. Like I'll watch 300.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Serena spots them, and there's the history between her and Jared. Jared kind of sneaks away. And Dean and Serena talk about being under their dad's thumbs.
Yeah.
Serena is jealous of Dean being able to live on campus and away from her father.
Being jealous of somebody living in a cinder block, like 10 by 10 room with, again, a grown man.
I have never lived in a dorm, but I dated someone who lived in a dorm when I was that age. Not like, recently.
Yeah.
So all of my memories of dorm rooms are getting free food from the cafeteria that were on her like dining plan and just wild experimental early 20s sex. Like my dorm memories are very, very positive, but because I only took the best parts of it.
It's because you were a dorm uncle. You never had to take care of the dorm full time. You just got to visit on holidays.
Dorm uncle says we can eat ice cream whenever we want.
I've
told this story.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say, I've told this story before, but something recently reminded me of it.
Okay.
The college where this was true was Northern Illinois University. And the name of their ID card that had your dining dollars on it and stuff was called a one card.
Okay.
And in the MySpace days, me and my girlfriend at the time, we were cruising it, and we found this amateur hip hop guy from Northern Illinois University who wrote an R&B song called One Card.
Okay.
About this student ID. And I would give a lot to hear it again, but it was like, girl, let me get that one card. I want to get you one card. Yeah. There's nothing makes me holler like a girl with dining dollars. Nothing makes me holler like a girl with dining dollars.
It was so funny. Did he sing it all sexy, like sexy R&B kind of thing?
It was a sexy R&B song about a student ID that allowed you to buy chicken tenders.
Chicken tenders and the worst salad you've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. The home of the worst damn salad that's ever been. And a gas station cheeseburger. That lives with 100 of its brothers under a heat lamp.
Yep. Just you pull it from its watery womb on the steam table. Yeah.
It just cries. It's steam escaping, but it seems like it misses its family.
No, I only lived in a dorm for a quarter. And I was just like, I became enough of a thorn in the administration's side. I was like, I hate living in this dorm. I technically came in with enough credits to not be considered a freshman. And I was like, that means I'm not strict. I don't strictly need to adhere to the all freshmen must live in a dorm for a year, which is a fucking racket. So they can overcharge you for stuff. And then finally they were like, just go pay this penalty and go. It's like, thank you. And I rented a room off campus.
Yeah. Significantly better.
Yes.
I think. I would die now if I had to live in a dorm.
Oh my God. No.
Like, I know I wouldn't. There are people who live in those kind of conditions are fine, but I really don't want to. I become very accustomed to having my own space.
I require my solitude. So,
yeah. I've talked about it before. I spend a lot of time nude. I would be Jared, like swabbing stuff out.
Just
like
I
would make my roommate do what you did. Like before I just lived peacefully in a dorm, I would make it my business for them to complain.
Oh my God. But Serena's like, oh, I'd love to not live in this, basically live under guard. And she's imprisoned in that penthouse. And her dad wanted her to study marine biology. Like that worked out so good for him or me.
Yeah. Gills. Yeah. Shows off her gills. They're going to have coffee, but Dean has to go cancel his science classes. We cut over to Rusty being kept in the hospital overnight because he lost all that blood. Hank and Brock and Hatred are there. Hatred kind of criticizes Brock for letting this happen, saying a real soldier never leaves his post. And Brock's like, yeah, who's at the front desk?
And we get this hilarious cutaway. Like, this is a Family Guy cutaway, but I love Panicked Helper sweeping a gun around the lobby, just like not sure who's a threat.
Good Helper episode.
Yeah. He's in it for 3 seconds, but he steals the show. I just did like him. He can't sweat because he's a robot, but just there's something about the pose work that's done here that just sells the white hot pants pissing terror.
Very good. Rusty kind of comes to a little bit and asks if Dean came by, favoring Dean as usual.
Where's my boy?
Hank? Where's my boy? Hank says, I'm here. And he rolls out some blueprints for these changes he wants to make to the Hank cave, the Dean's new room, or Dean's old room.
Yeah, he thinks he can handle the water feature, but he's way out of his depth with the skylight. Also, he wants to put in a conversation pit. He wants a heart-shaped bed. There's a movie monster / creature creation station. It's like movie
and a
makeup.
bat pole.
Oh, of course, a bat pole. How are you going to get up and down? Every fantasy house that I designed, fantasy lair or whatever, like no stairs, just fire poles.
Yeah, and you had to go up them, which would mean you'll never go upstairs.
Yeah, never had stairs.
You'd be real too tired.
It was like a helipad on top. It was a fire pole that went down through the comics library, and then it was a twisty slide down to the basement. So.
But Rusty will not give him money. He said, basically, you had a choice, college or a job, and you got fired from the pizza place. Hank leaves. He's very upset.
Yes.
The nurse comes in, says visiting hours are over. And Rusty's like, no, he's my bodyguard. He can stay. And Brock's like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
And then he picks up the little the dingus, the remote, and then just spams the morphine button until Rusty falls asleep. Yeah, that's how you euthanize people.
It is slightly less funny during the opioid crisis. That's how you euthanize people, or just create Ozark.
Oh man.
what seems like it's going to be a plot, they pull open the curtain here to show Rusty's roommate, which is Dr. Nadaba.
Yeah.
In Traction. This is only going to be this little subplot. It's not important.
No.
They're also in the commentary, they talk about how they had a song they wanted to play over this and they couldn't get the rights to, but they said they couldn't even say the name of the song, which feels strange to me.
That is a thing, actually.
Yeah.
Like oftentimes the actual name will be cut out. Like legal gets real just real nervous about that kind of stuff on commentaries I have listened to in the past.
Yeah. They should not.
Yeah.
Legal are a bunch of fucking weenies.
Yeah. Same with standards and practices. All of them. A lot of them.
No thanks. Yeah, a lot of them weenies. Dr. Mrs. the Monarch comes home and finds the Monarch sulking. 21 warns her, like it's pretty bad in there. He's lying face down, groaning. This is where he says, New York has lousy superheroes. Of course you're going to run into them. And Monarch says, but you'll do better next time. Monarch says there won't be a next time. Like I put all my money into this stupid house, these $1,200 sconces, this $8,000 desk. This is also in the commentary. They talk about how Doc and Jackson both remodeled and how they felt stupid about spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
On stuff, which makes sense.
Yes. It's buyer's remorse. I'm currently having a roof put on and I do not want to say what it is going to cost me.
Yeah. And a roof is arguably more important than a sconce.
Room needs light.
Depends on the sconce. Depends on the
roof. Yeah. It's nice not to get rained on, but have you ever had light come from too high up in a room?
Yeah. Have you ever had something you could potentially pull down to have it be a secret passage, but just breaks?
Oh, don't even get me started on how expensive it is to put in a secret passage.
Probably very expensive. I'm looking for a place to live, and I looked at an apartment yesterday where the office and the bedroom were connected by their closets.
Ooh.
They shared one big closet that had a door on either end.
You had a Jack and Jill closet connecting.
Yeah.
Them. Yeah.
It was a little bit like a secret passage. It was real cool. And it was like a really great place. It was just not in a great area.
Yeah.
So didn't go for it. Yeah, I asked my friends who lived in Portland for a long. I was like, "Hey, how Thunderdome is this area?" And they're like, "Well, it's still Portland, but it's about as Thunderdome as they get. Like shootings and prostitutes and stuff." And I was like,
"Yeah,
I'm all right. I'm all right."
Yeah.
So she says, we got to a new arch. Work the program, do it step by step. You're a survivor. She holds up the preserved body of a monarch butterfly, and she explains what monarchs do. They never quit.
Talking about their migration patterns and stuff. This is cute. And he says, "Thank you, honey. Oh, I wish you could have met her." Talking about his mom. Wish you could have met her when she was alive. She would have liked you. Yeah.
The butterfly who died.
Yes.
Like a year after he flew down and made himself really sick chewing on milkweed.
Yeah. They don't live very long.
Dean is talking to a science professor. This is Dr. Von Helping. He looks like Carl Sagan. And it's kind of patterned after him. He's a cool professor.
Yeah.
Like cool friend professor guy.
They tried to make him, they talked in the commentary about like, oh yeah, we wanted to make him one of those professors who would never sit in a chair. Right.
They talk about like, that is obviously a dorky move. When I was in school, I liked the professors who were like just cool dudes.
Oh yeah.
It's obviously kind of lame, but like, there's this weird shade of wanting to be dominated. I think when people talk about this kind of thing with disdain, like I didn't want a friend. I want someone just to like teach me and be, and I'm like,
no, they can,
that sucks too.
Yeah.
Like
there is not like a strict correlation between those things. You can, you don't have to be a
good teacher and also just act like a person.
Yeah.
I'm not part of the transaction is not for me to be dominated by a daddy.
No,
who's going to look to your left, look to your right, me.
And like all of those look to your left, look to your right. That was all like the gen ed classes. I had really great relationships with like the 3 professors who were in my division who ultimately broke out to be kind of like this. My favorite version of this was the let's have class outside guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, what a legendary move because it's like, it's kind of transparent, but also the alternative sucks.
Yeah. No, had an art history professor who just constantly was like, let's just go outside. She was great.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dean says, he doesn't want to take these classes because he doesn't want to be like his father. He's stuck in this world. It's full of super science, and this kind of gravity attracts villains and weirdos, and he just wants a normal life. You wouldn't understand. And Van Helsing's like, actually, I do understand. And he shows a picture to Dean of his dad that's framed on his desk. Super villain, Dr. Van Hellfire.
He's got like spikes and metal skin and stuff.
Yeah, it looks a little bit like an off-model Underbite.
Yeah, yeah.
Same head shape.
Yeah, big block-shaped kind of guy. So it's like, he was a super villain, and he only wanted two things in life, to rule the world and to make me just like him. Also, to destroy Dr. Atomicus. So three things in life. I love the offhanded mention of the supervillain name, because who's Dr. Atomicus? The superhero. I'm just thinking about on The Simpsons, Dr. Colossus, right?
Or Grasshopperus. Isn't that what happened to Grasshopperus? Did they run amok? Only when they tried to reason with him. I love Grasshopperus. And Dr. Atomicus. Very, very funny.
Yeah.
So Van Helsing explains, that after this happened, he went to a dark place, but he turned himself around.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can make the world a better place, not by trying to conquer it, by being a teacher. Why don't you take one science class, and if you don't like it, then we can negotiate. Dean says, what's the least super sciencey? He's like, well, all science is super. And Dean's about to walk. And he's like, okay, botany.
Botany.
Yeah.
Botany's a fine subject. Yeah.
So we cut over to Hank. Hank is renting out his old room.
Yep.
Through an Airbnb and
he doesn't
Airbnb.
He doesn't want to work, and like many people who don't want to work, he became a landlord.
Exactly. Yeah. And he's showing German tourist his old room there.
It's Airbnb, a wholly owned subsidiary of Hanko. Yeah. But they're like, they're asking like, hey, is this a kid's room? Because it's still Ned's room,
Yes.
Yeah. The Wi-Fi is Rust for life, and the password is Kate_Jackson_meow. Kate Jackson being one of the original Charlie's Angels.
Yeah. Doc never got over his old crushes.
Yep.
So this is, going to be a very, very minor little subplot here. He's just trying to earn some money.
Yeah.
He was told to get a job. This is his job.
So, he uses this, and he uses it to buy a bouquet for Serena, and kind of accosts her when she's walking across campus by doing like cat calls and stuff before revealing that it's him. Just says, no, I can't go get dinner with you. I've got class. This is college. I have more than one class. Ella Hank's response to that, well, that seems excessive.
Yeah. He's wants to live the life of an idle playboy, basically. So the Monarch rubs. This is glue that he has.
Is
that he's doing this stuff with? I think. Yeah, I think he's using just glue because he doesn't have stuff.
He calls it gel, but
I thought the tube was glue, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
It makes his eyebrows look goofy. Here, he talks about how it's too stiff. He needs a pliable hold, and 21 says, at least you don't look like Peter DeVries anymore.
Yep.
A Dune.
Yeah. The character from Dune with the big bushy eyebrows, specifically in the David Lynch one.
Yes. The Dune references don't stop.
Nope.
Because they're taking the Monarch mobile there to Arch Dr. Van Helsing. And they're talking about his dad, Dr. Van Hellfire, Victor Von Hellfire, is this guild royalty. They're kind of explaining his backstory. His super science accent left him scarred over 80% of his body. And they're like, oh man, he looks like Paul Atreides. He looks like a Dune guy, and the Monarch just shuts him up. Yeah. Which in the commentary, they're like, oh, the Monarch's even getting sick of it. The Monarch bonds with 21 over Doom nerdy stuff. They both were into Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
That's not something that he has contempt for him for.
Yeah.
Don't make me remember your characterization, boys.
Well, they also in the commentary are talking about it. I think that they're projecting their own disagreement about Dune stuff, because this is a Jackson episode, but Doc is the one who makes all the Dune references.
Yeah, I think when I do it, God, like the low-key hostility in this commentary.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I make Dune references, but when I do it, it's to the very obscure stuff. It's not to the movie. Like, man, that's why I'm talking about when I say insecure. Like, it feels very like trying to piss and mark his value. It's wild.
Yeah. So Dean, he's getting set up for his class there. Not aware that his father's old arch nemesis is about to arch his new kind of science idol. And Serena arrives, kind of mentioning this is where she says the marine biology thing. They're in the same class, and they're the only two people in it. Von Helping kind of notes that when he walks in, and then the Monarch bursts through the window, saying the Monarch is auditing this class. Oh, hey, Dean Venture.
This class. And Dean just, no. It gets really, really good performance.
Yeah. It's like, not this, the last thing you wanted. Right. The gravity, right? It's the gravity of the world.
Yeah. Hatred wakes up. He's got a little tent, a little sleeping bag under the front desk because the security alarm goes off. He sees it's in Hank's room. Hank did not account for this.
Nope.
In his Airbnb plan. Brock sets down his old college jersey. I like the bit in the commentary about this, like, kill deaf kid. Changed my life. Wear it to honor him. It's real funny. Sits down to watch TV, but the flat screen has been moved.
Yeah.
So he immediately like, Hank, and starts walk. But they go to check in, but Hank's not there. He's visiting Rusty in the hospital.
Yeah. He's away. He's there, and Rusty's, asleep. He's in the morphine coma. So Hank is just playing out this conversation between himself and his dad. Just kind of putting all these nasty words in his dad's mouth, doing his impression of him. He's upset. It's kind of like a prodigal son kind of thing. Like, oh, Dean leaves the family and he gets everything, and I stay around and I only get a hard time. Yeah. It's kind of heartbreaking, and I know he's your favorite, but do you have to act like it?
Yeah, it's very sad.
Yeah.
While also Hank is being a layabout.
Yes.
Like Rusty's crime as a father here is not taking the effort to understand either of his kids.
Yes.
Like he doesn't understand that Hank doesn't want this. Like he's sorted them into boxes immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And they do need guidance and help, but just not the kind that he's able to give.
Yeah.
They get interrupted because there's background music, acoustic guitar being played, and it's from the other side of the room. This is Stars and Garters serenading Dr. Nadaba, singing Father Figure, George Michael song.
Yeah, or singing it's the George Michael song from the movie Father Figure, I think is what it is. Yeah. That song might be called Father Figure, but it's a stylistic parody of it. Yeah. He's like, they say music helps.
And that's when Dr. Nadaba was like, oh, I'm sick of fighting these muscle-bound idiots. It was Stars and Garters.
Yeah. They say something in the commentary that I want to bounce off of you and see if that is correct. Do Captain America and MODOK have like a fondness for each other?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I don't know what Doc's talking about. MODOK being anything other than just a weird sniveling head is relatively new. Like anyone having fun with MODOK. Like he just was like, nah, world domination for most of MODOK's life.
Yeah, for like 40 years.
And now MODOK's fun. Mm-hmm. Now people make fun of it. There's a really funny comic called MODOK's 11 that's about him putting together a team. And it's just, he's a big shitty floating head that you can just knock over and the team treat him like that. And it's pretty fun.
Okay. This is Gary Butterfield's superhero corner. Cole being clueless.
I think when he talks about that, he's like, he's averting it. What if they did have this affectionate relationship?
Gotcha. All right.
They're also not very particularly associated. Like MODOK, AIM, does fight the Avengers and fights Captain America, but it's not like he's a Captain America villain. I think maybe he's thinking of Arnim Zola, who is more of a head related. It's the guy with the face on his chest.
Oh, I only know the movie version of Arnim Zola. Since we last recorded, I've watched a shitload of Marvel movies. Yeah. So I know AIM from, what is that? Somebody was MIA, etc. Forget which movie it was. I watched a shitload of them, so I've stopped differentiating them. Oh no, that was it was Iron Man 3 that had AIM with what's his name, Extremis guy.
Yeah. Imagine that computer monitor that Arnim Zola was on.
Okay.
But it's on a chest that walks around and has a camera instead of a head.
Gotcha.
That's Arnim Zola.
Okay. But
like a lot of fun Marvel villains, he's actually a Nazi. So it's a little bit less fun. Like he's got this real goofy design, but he does want to exterminate all the lesser races.
Yeah, it's funny because I think in Endgame, one of those, Tony Stark calls Hydra a quasi-fascistic intelligence organization. I'm like, how hard they got to go before you take quasi off that one, bad boy?
Yeah. Huh? Well, he doesn't want anyone to tell him that everybody Iron Man doesn't like is a fascist. Iron Man's always just saying that about everybody. It doesn't matter how fascist they are. We can dismiss it.
They literally served the Third Reich.
Yeah.
The Third Reich was not Reichy enough for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
So Rusty wakes up. He thinks this is a dream, again, because he's heavily drugged. And he seems excited that Hank has come. And it kind of seems like we're going to get a heart-to-heart moment. He says, I want you to know you've always been my favorite. And then he takes the room out because he finishes the sentence, Kate Jackson. He's not one of those basic folks who likes Farrah Fawcett. No, he goes for the deep cuts on the Charlie's Angels.
Yes. Yeah. Brock and Hadrig get to the Hank's old room with their weapons drawn, charging in. Presumably to kill a bunch of Germans.
Oh yeah, to kill those tourists. Yeah.
Yeah. Back in the botany class, the Monarch is attempting to arch, but Dr. Van Helping, I love this, where he's like, give me what I want. And he's like, I don't know what you want.
This is a botany classroom.
What are you doing? And the Monarch gets sick of this and has 21 punch him. Yeah. 21 punches him and breaks his hand here because it's just metal. The Monarch kicks him in the nuts and just breaks his foot. He's got solid steel nuts.
Yeah. I love Serena. This is just fucking sad.
Yeah, very good. The Monarch's like, well, if I can't hurt you, he takes Serena hostage. And that's Wide Whale's daughter. He's not going to get away with that. No. And this makes Dr. Van Helping snap. Basically, like, you can threaten me all you want, but you cannot threaten my students. All his skin melts off and he starts, floats up in the air as this like metallic monster man.
His eyes are bright red, with righteous fury. Like 21 literally puts a blade to her throat. She doesn't care. She's just gonna, knows he doesn't have it in him. But like, just like, oh yeah, he's gonna let them. We're gonna play Mama had a baby and his head popped off with your student. Yeah. So they're in way over their head. Like they're gonna fight. Yeah. The super scientists follow Dean, and this is where Dean gets fed up. And he starts calling out the Monarch. And again, the way that the series, like everyone calls it the Monarch, he never has to answer for it. He always has a dodge. Like this character never comes to terms with things because he's like, why do you do this? Do you even know? And the Monarch says, what do you know? You've always been a little rich bitch and never had to work a day in your life. Not the case. Yep.
First of all, that's you, Monarch.
Yep.
All the other villains were like, you're a trust fund kid. And you were until earlier today. Yeah.
You're trying to take the moral high ground on this because you have had to exert a minimal amount of effort. Yeah. It's frustrating that this is not underlined. I know everything doesn't have to be made obvious, but it is said and delivered and allowed to resonate as if it is a salient point that he is making and not him being completely oblivious to his own situation.
And the Monarch is rewarded for it. Like whenever the Monarch is confronted with one of his many failings as both a villain and as a husband and as a man, he just comes out smelling like a rose. He's like the luckiest person in this fucking universe.
Yeah.
It's really weird. And only through kind of taking a close look and watching the series in order did I notice this. Like it bounced entirely off my head the first time I watched it. And now I'm just like, man, I want Dr. Mrs. the Monarch to leave him so bad.
Yeah. It's it's hard not to come across as like, okay, yes, the Monarch is not a real person. It's hard not to come across as like he can keep getting away with it, but like it ends up being a real frustration with the character and a failing of any story that he's involved in, that he can just kind of continue, taking a walk and never getting hit.
And there's fun stuff that happens because of this situation.
Yeah.
Like later in the season, the episode where he mentors St. Cloud, that's a real fun episode. That's a fun situation that can only come from this.
Yeah.
But it just ends up being frustrating because, and again, there are people out there who are saying we're being idiots or I'm being an idiot, for treating this as seriously as I am. And I think that the show treats its character seriously, which is part of why I love it.
Yes.
It feels like a betrayal of the promise of the show, not something that's just in line because of it's just a dumb cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
Like part of what drew me to the Venture Brothers is it wasn't just a dumb cartoon.
Yeah. And just,
You know?
it's kind of been the same thing ever since he got back on his feet after season 2. And it is spoiled on the shelf a little bit for sticking around this long and being this stagnant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bums me out. But Dean's like, is this what it's going to take? It looks like he's going to pull out a gun, but instead he pulls out a checkbook and just writes him a check for $1 million.
Yeah. And the Monarch says, yes, that's what it will take me to get me to stop doing this. And Dean is pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. He, like 21 goes over to Von Helping is like, would you sign this as a standard arching form? He's like, oh, sure. You got a pen? Like he immediately goes back into cordial mode.
Well, yeah, because the situation de-escalated.
Yeah, it's great. It's very cute.
Yeah.
Dean asks if Serena's okay. This is the beginning of her falling in love with him.
Yeah.
She is impressed by his gallantry, and it's kind of like an interesting bit of maturation. She was impressed with Hank when he had set up these fake threats.
Yes.
And he had done really cartoonish things in the face of them. But now she's seeing Dean, who is facing a real threat and does something practical.
Yes.
Hank wants to be in a pretend world.
Mm-hmm.
Dean does not. And Serena doesn't as well. Like this pairing actually makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot more sense.
Spent more time with it.
Yeah. I wish it would develop before it kind of was basically treated as a reveal, It
happens off camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dean loses his fucking virginity off camera.
Mm-hmm.
So he asks if Serena's okay. She's like, that's fine. I grew up around 9s and 10s. Like, I don't know what number that was. It was an embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
It was nothing. She gives Dean a little kiss on the cheek, and leaves, and then pan down and Dean's packing heat. Dean's got a huge dick.
Yeah, I know. Dean,
no idea.
He kind of creates a little pop-out shelf for him. He could rest a small, he could rest an espresso cup on the end of that bad boy.
It's pretty intense. He's got a large dong.
Yeah.
That's a completely perpendicular angle.
Way to go, Dean.
Past those pants.
Good for you.
Yeah. Go, Dean. You never know who's going to have a giant dick.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the episode proper. Then we get our credits. I always expect the post-credit scene to be dealing with the German Airbnb people, but that plot just got kind of dropped.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, just got thrown into the incinerator with those German tourists.
Yeah, kind of a little bit of a messy episode. The actual thing, Monarch gets a reward for being the top earner for the month.
Mm-hmm.
There, and Dr. Z sent over a congratulations gift, bringing you up to level 6, which is some of the handy dandy from his personal stash, because of course he uses it with his facial hair.
Of course, yeah. It's kind of a messy episode, but it has sweet moments to it,
Mm-hmm.
And I like having Dean get focus. That is too rare.
Yeah, me too. There are individual jokes and things about this episode I like quite a bit,
mm-hmm.
while still feeling it's a little bit of a mess.
Yeah.
But pretty decent. Sets the baseline for the season, I think.
Yes.
If you like this show, head on over to patreon.com/duckfeed.tv and give us a couple of bucks. Show your support.
Yeah. You get like bonus shows. So if you like us talking about media, we have a show called Unfilmable where we talk about horror movies, but there are, other things about video games, etc. There's a lot of content that is on offer for you. And it also supports you boys. Yeah. Otherwise, you can leave a rating or review in whatever podcast directory you use that offers reviews. That does help us out. And you can tell your friends.
Yeah. All those things are awesome, and we'd love it if you did it.
Yeah. We have an idea of what we're doing after this show.
Yes, and we won't wait until the very end to announce it, but we're not going to announce it just yet.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to wait. But keep an eye out. I think it'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, and until next time,
go Team Venture.